I think I need to give you a quick background. I guess I'll have the background of saying I was indoctrinated into Christianity, and after a near-death experience as an adult, I just kind of had the idea that God existed, but just, didn't like me. And, like, watching these atheist shows kind of didn't change my mind. And I kind of answer most questions for myself. And I'm on this last one that I can't answer for myself, which is, how do you deal with what you think was an experience with God? Like, how would you deal with that?
Are you talking about the experience you had that was a near-death experience that you described earlier?
No.
Something else?
Talking about experiences where it felt like, like miraculous events happening.
I guess in my mind, I'm wondering how would I determine it's a supernatural cause?
And the way I do that is, like, if I were to tell the experience to anyone, they would consider me a liar or a lunatic. So that's how I consider it as a supernatural experience.
So it's something strange that happens that other people find difficult to believe, and that to you makes it true that this is a supernatural experience?
Yes.
Is it possible that it's not a supernatural experience and people find it hard to believe anyway? Like maybe it's a rare experience that they're not familiar with?
I didn't think of that.
But do you think that that's possible?
It might be.
Okay. I mean, I don't know what happened. And I can give you an example of something interesting that I saw just the other night. I had somebody send me a link to a thread where someone was describing a haunting for their apartment. And I went through the entire thread, and there wasn't really anything that I thought was supernatural. And even at one point, the gentleman who was posting the information had written that individually, none of these things really were convincing, but that altogether it was kind of freaking him out a little bit. But there was one video that he posted of like a rocking chair rocking by itself and something falling off a wall that was adjacent, actually touching a corner. So they were cornered. Something fell off one wall, and the other wall that was on the other corner, right in that same corner, there was a rocking chair that rocked on a separate occasion. They were near in time, but not at the same time. And one of the things I had wondered when I watched it, I thought, well, that's very interesting. Now, if I had, pet cam and I saw my rocking chair rocking like that, what kinds of things would I think? Like, what would I attribute it to, or what might cause a thing like that? He said he had all his windows closed because he was gone for 2 weeks out of the country. And one of the things I thought was, what if there was heavy construction happening? And this is or is not, I don't know, but he was up on an upper floor. He wasn't on a bottom floor. And I thought maybe the building is moving because there's heavy construction, or maybe there's a neighbor doing renovations and against that same wall. Or, it could, I mean, I don't know what caused the rocking chair to rock, and I don't know what would make the thing fall off the wall. But assuming that the gentleman, being generous and assuming that he's being honest and what he posted was in fact just his empty apartment with his pet cam running, my thoughts were, is this really a demonstration of a haunting as opposed to just something that could be naturally occurring that we're just not thinking of? And I think that there could be explanations to account for things like this, but the fact that we aren't aware of those explanations, I don't think makes them supernatural, although I do believe that it is uncomfortable when we're in a situation where we don't know what did cause something, and it's an odd story, and other people are, like you say, looking at us like there's something wrong with us because we're saying this is what happened. Another option would be that, and please don't take this the wrong way, but there could be something wrong. I mean, there are times when we sometimes are seeing things and experiencing things, and it's not impossible for a very sane person to have momentary lapses where they have breaks with normal perception, right? So a sane person can actually see things that aren't there or hear things that aren't there.
That was one of the angles that I thought of that, could be possible. And I thought, well, which belief would be scarier, that there is a God that doesn't like me, or that I have episodes of psychosis?
I mean, just to put your mind at ease, we all have episodes of psychosis. I mean, that's not something that, if you go through life and you never have an auditory or a visual hallucination or a tactile hallucination of any kind, you're a rare individual. Most of us have that. I feel like I'm cutting you out of the conversation, John. Do you have anything to add to this?
No, I was thinking it's part of it's kind of a mindset. Like if I see something weird happen, I'll say, oh, that was kind of weird. But my mind doesn't immediately go to supernatural. My mind goes to natural, because I'm a materialist, and in my experience, things have natural explanations. So I would think of every possibility that could naturally occur first, until, you know, and it's pretty hard to rule out any possible natural explanation. So sometimes I'll just leave it at that was weird and not really have an answer.
Yeah.
But some people are the opposite, and they'll say supernatural is kind of where they first go to. That, you know, that was weird, it must be supernatural. So part of it is just kind of how you approach the world.
When I Googled for you know, what would make an empty rocking chair rock, and I was typing in physics and things that I thought would get me, I got so much ghost stuff, right? Yeah. Like, it was all ghost stuff. So apparently just ghosts make that happen. But you know what I'm saying, people do tend to go there. I understand. We're sort of there are some cultures, for example, that don't believe in ghosts. So you wonder, when they see something move that shouldn't be moving by itself, how do they explain it, right? To them, it's something different. They have other superstitions, of course, that they might be going to, like it's a witch bewitched the object or something. But you know, for cultures that don't believe in ghosts, you wonder what would they say about a rocking chair rocking by itself? I'm sorry that doesn't answer your question. I mean, I can't tell you how to think about it. I would personally think about it in terms of what could cause this, and then if I couldn't think of anything, I would probably just say I don't know what caused this. And if it was something that was occurring with a frequency or an intensity that caused me difficulties in some way, I would probably seek professional help just to rule out that, you know, there's something going on with me. But if this is something that was like a one-off, it might just be a one-off.
I mean, the whole thing is that it wasn't a one-off, but I don't know. I kind of lost my notes, so I guess I just have to move on to my second question, but I'm not sure if you're the right person.
Did you say that this is not a one-off?
No, it's not a one-off.
You might want to just rule out that there's something going on with you. It wouldn't hurt just to make a call and make an appointment and just say, hey, I've been having an odd experience and I just want to make sure that I'm okay. You know what I mean? Even a therapist. It doesn't have to be something intense like a psychiatrist or whatever. You know, I'm just saying that you might just talk to a family therapist, for example. Call up an LMFT, somebody with those credentials, and just look for someone in your area that might be able to make an hour appointment with you, and go in and talk to them and just say, here's what's been happening with me, and I just don't know if I need to see somebody about this or if this is normal or it sounds okay. I would definitely, if I was having repeated experiences that were concerning me, I would probably just want to rule that out. Just like if you were having a pain that you couldn't explain, I would say, hey, maybe go to the doctor if this keeps hurting, and just make sure nothing's really wrong. You know what I mean?
I mean, that seemed like something scary too. I mean, but I guess I'll just move on to my second question.
Okay.
Do you have a background where you come from a Jewish family?
I don't. No. We do have, Russell had a secular Jewish upbringing, but neither of us have that. So I don't know if we're helpful for this next question or not, but you're welcome to throw it out there.
I was going to ask, why would an atheist still identify as a Jew?
There are many cultural Jews. Is that what you're asking? There are a lot of Jewish people who do identify as atheist, but consider themselves Jews in the sense of a cultural context.
That would be a good question to ask when Russell's on next.
But he's an example, I guess, of a secular Jewish person.
Yeah, just that they identify as Jewish because of their culture and their heritage, and not so much the religious aspect of that.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I was kind of wondering, like, why would you keep the label? Because it could so easily be confused with people thinking that there's religious context behind it.
There are certain religions that are extremely cultural in their context, and for them, a lot of times people keep that label even if they're secular, and believe it or not, there are secular Catholics. There are people who their families are just so ingrained in Catholicism that even when they separate for secular reasons, you just can't get away from the culture of it. And so they just sort of, you know, I'm an atheist, but my whole family's Catholic and we're Catholics. They just don't separate it as, they don't really separate the religion from the culture of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I should just let you get on the other callers. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, and good luck to you. I hope this, you know, starts to make better sense for you. But just know that there's people out there that are happy to hear your story without judgment and to listen to you and help you if that's needed. There's definitely resources if you decide to go that route. Okay?
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.